Hello and welcome back to the Bronx Journal. I'm Erica James. Our next guest is a multi-talented artist born and raised in the Bronx. A Lyric is a singer, songwriter, actor, and poet who constantly explores the meaning of love. An active performer on the poetry scene, A Lyric published her first poetry chapbook, Love in All Its Shades, Not Your Grandmother's Love Poems, in 2011, and is soon to release her second chapbook, The Heart of Me. She has been featured in shows all over NYC, including The Inspired Word, the Bronx Story series, and the Brooklyn Historical Society Bridging the Gap series. A Lyric, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Erica.
No problem. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Okay,
I'm doing well.
That's good to hear. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, like you said, I'm a singer, I'm a songwriter, actor, and poet. I released my poetry chapbook last year, which was a great accomplishment for me because I've been writing since I was 8 years old. So, and now I'm working on my second chapbook, which is called The Heart of Me, and that's a more personal, introspective chapbook about, you know, things that I've been through and some of the things I've overcome in my life.
Right. And where do you draw your inspiration from?
Wow. I draw my inspiration from a lot of things, surprisingly. Like, I spend a lot of time writing on the subway because I'm, like you said, I'm also an actor, so I'm constantly going on auditions, and I spend a lot of my day in transportation, in commute. So I get inspired by little things I see, situations, people interacting. I get inspired by many different things.
All writers have great influences. Who are some of your influences?
Oh, I would say one of my greatest influences would be Langston Hughes and Sonia Sanchez.
Yeah.
I really enjoy their work, and from a young age, I would read Langston Hughes, and he was very good at depicting the stories and telling the stories of African Americans, which at that time wasn't happening or wasn't being told. So he had a great way of doing that. So I really enjoyed his work.
That's good to hear. So for those who have a negative impact on poetry, what would you say to them to get them interested in poetry the same way as you are?
What do you mean by negative impact?
Like, a lot of people don't like poetry just because some of them say that it rhymes, or some of them say that it don't rhyme, or some of them say it has to do with personal experience, so they kind of draw themselves away from liking it. So what would you say to people to make them change their views on it?
Well, actually, I guess fortunately for me, I guess I would say that I've never encountered people who had negative experiences with poetry. It's usually people who have never been exposed to it and don't really understand it. And so I would say, like, people who have not been exposed to poetry, I would let them know that, you know, they need to come out to different shows, because sometimes people have this idea of poetry from school. And the only thing you know about poetry from school is from reading it in the books. But if you come to different shows, like I featured at the New Eurekan last weekend, and I also featured there in September, and you get to see that there's various different artists who perform poetry. There's various different styles of poetry, and there's a million different topics. So it's all relatable on some level to some people, to any group of people. So.
Your book, chapbook, Love in All Its Shades, what age group is that aimed towards?
Love in All Its Shades, Not Your Grandmother's Love Poems. It is, I would say it's from teenagers up.
Teenagers up.
Yeah.
So would you say that they can relate to those experiences?
Yeah, definitely.
And why so?
Because the book, it goes from, it touches on love from all angles. It's not one specific meaning like a relationship. It goes from relationships with mother and daughter. It goes from relationships to husband and wife. It goes from relationships with yourself and loving yourself. So, and it talks about, you know, having a greater love for people and humanity as a whole. So there's not any one specific topic of love, and it's not where it's just dealing with relationships and it's dealing with intimacy. It's not that. So it's so varied that, yeah, a lot of different age groups can relate to it.
Okay, so what inspired the title?
The title was inspired by, I was thinking of traditional poems and traditional love poems and how we're used to hearing them, or some people who don't are not familiar with poetry, what they're used to hearing in love poems. It's kind of that rhyme scheme, roses are red, violets are blue kind of thing. And this is nothing like that. So it was really, the grandmother's part of it is really talking about a time period.
Okay.
It's more focused on, like, this is not back in the day style of poems. This is very modern, it's very current, it's very edgy, and it's varied. So that's where the title came from.
What is your definition of poetry, and how important is it to you?
Poetry, well, I recently I shared this with some people. For me, I feel like poetry is a way to tell stories in a short version. And it means a lot to me because when I was coming up, I was always writing. Writing was an instrumental part of my life. And anytime I went through something, if there were people around me who didn't understand it, I could always write about it. I can always write about it through a poem and express myself and get that off my chest. So, and I feel like for young people, it's a very important tool because it's also a way for them to express themselves without having to expose themselves to sharing it with somebody who they may not be comfortable with. They can just put it on the paper and just at least they'll get it off their chest.
Now, your piece, Blue Blood, which was originally a short film, what inspired you and motivated you to write that poem?
Well, Blue Blood was originally a poem, and a friend of mine who makes films, she turned it into a short film skit. And I was inspired because, like you said, I was born and raised in the Bronx, and there was a lot of talk of, police brutality and things that were happening with specific African American males interacting with police officers. And so I just thought of that relationship and that tension that there is between the African American community, especially black males, and police officers, and that's what came out was Blue Blood.
Okay, that's excellent. Can you perform that piece for me, please?
Sure, absolutely. Blood spills blue on nights when fear predicts his death. The sight of men whose skin raises blood pressure, adrenaline and blue coats reacting to suspicious behavior. Suspicious behavior mimics being out after sunset, removing license from wallet, rapid thinking absent death. He was my brother. Shouting at the TV screen, pounding my fist, wailing, wondering when he won't be a target, killing my brothers. Mothers bury sons thinking their sons would have buried them. The preacher preached. He may not be here in flesh, but he's here in spirit. Knowing his flesh had more to do and his spirit wasn't in a rush. The police academy teaches tactics for every scenario but fear. Fear ends in morgues. Guilt-riddled, gunpowdered air, fear dripped from forehead salty and palms moist. Trigger-slipping officers equating crime and color. Justified blue murder. Fear won't ask questions in the ignorance of night because, well, we all look the same. My brothers. I'm running out of black dresses to view their bodies in. I'm running out of words to drizzle from my lips to their parents. I'm running out of patience with those who are supposed to protect and serve. Protect and serve. Hypocritical. Oxymoron. Communities' tongues are dead to the idea. Wallowing in resentment aggravated by repetition. A cultural divide. Well, step on this side of your gun's remnants. Watch insecure, nervous metal murder innocent brown skin. Watch judges tamper with justice as officers walk down a road that's taken often. Acquitted, full pension. He had siblings, a wife. He had children, parents. Collect the tears of all the mothers who lost their sons to the bullets from police guns. Collect the tears of all the mothers who lost their sons to the bullets from police guns. Collect the tears of all the mothers who lost their sons to the bullets from police guns, and the sea level will rise. What do you do when your brother's blood spills blue on nights when fear predicts his death?
Woo! That was nice. I like it. It gave me chills. Wow, so much passion in your poetry. I actually Got little chills running through my body. So, a lyric, where do you get your inspiration and your ideas from? Do you get it from the Bronx, an experience that has happened in the Bronx?
I get it from all over. I pull from all my experiences. I mean, I pull from friends, family, things I see in the street. Like, you know, this is New York City, so you know it's crazy. Stuff happens all the
Right.
time at the drop of a dime. You know, a situation changes. So I pull from many different resources, life experiences, family experiences, friends experiences. You know, I pull from everything.
That's excellent. So, what else do you have in store? Are you doing any shows, any movies coming out, short films, theater? What are you doing?
Well, I'm currently working on my second chapbook,
Okay.
The Heart of Me, and that will be out in December. And I'm currently in a play called Black Wall Street, and that's going to be opening November 3rd at York College in Queens. The tickets are actually online. You can get them at York College. And I just released my CD. It's a music CD, all music, because I'm a songwriter also, so all the songs are written by me. And it's called A Lyric, Your Ears Will Thank You Later. And that's also available online and available for download.
Where can people reach you?
People can reach me at alyric10@gmail.com. And you can also see videos and listen to music and see where my upcoming performance is at www.reverbnation.com/alyric and the number 1.
A Lyric, thank you so much for coming. I enjoyed having you. You gave me a different insight on poetry, and thank you once more for coming again. I really enjoyed your performance.
Thank you for having me. It was great to be here.
No problem. Come back again sometime.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you, and we'll be back with more of the Bronx Journal.